this subtitle, Norman Geisler. It was through this theological issue that I first became familiar with Dr. Norman Geisler. Now, by the way, back up. This guy was associated with DTS, Dallas Theological Seminary. And he was one of the few people in the book that even mentioned Calvinism. So it was through this theological issue that I first became familiar with Dr. Norman Geisler, the co-founder of Southern Evangelical Seminary. My father-in-law, a strong Christian who was in seminary at DTS, introduced me, listen, to one of Dr. Geisler's books that responded to the soteriology of Calvinism. I wonder which one that might be. Of course, like many theologians, Dr. Geisler attempts to refute limited atonement by citing scriptural passages that point to the universal salvific will of God. But he also uses philosophy to lend credence to the view that Jesus really did atone for the sins of the world. Not only did Dr. Geisler appeal to me theologically, but I also learned of his credentials in the field of apologetics. And you wonder why all these folks ended up on the other side of the Tiber. And who wrote the foreword of the book? Frank Beckwith, who likewise swam around out there in the middle of the Tiber with the Mere Christianity folks and the Geislerites. And they just don't get why this is happening. Oh, it can't be because of Aquinas. Yeah, it can. It's not just Aquinas. It's the theological and philosophical system that comes along with it. So much of what these guys, the surface level arguments these guys bring up, fully refuted in the Institutes of Christian Religion. I wonder why no one reads the Institutes of the Christian Religion at SES. Well, anyway, watching a fellow walking toward our door, having parked out in the parking lot. Just thought I'd mention that. We have stalkers, so we sort of have to keep an eye on things, and just thought I'd let him know about that. So, if the folks at SES cannot get past their knee-jerk defense of Aquinas and really recognize what the real issue is, they're going to keep hemorrhaging people to Rome. And we can try to help and try to point it out, but there are issues. There are really, really issues there. All right. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this one here. We've got time to address it. We had a little interesting encounter once again in the Reformed pub over the past few days. When I post something in the Reformed pub, it gets a lot of attention, a lot of comments. I'll be honest with you, for those of you who listen, who are in the Reformed pub, I generally watch the comments for about 3 or 4, maybe 6, 7 hours after I post something, and then I stop. Because generally at that point, the comment threads become so long that they wander off into who knows what, everything. And I just don't even bother after that particular point. But once again, what brought it about was, if you recall in the last program, I was talking about William Lane Craig. And we were responding to some of the comments that Craig made about the role of inerrancy in evangelism and, just fundamental issues where there is, again, it's the fundamental difference between a Reformed understanding of epistemology and the priority of biblical revelation to human philosophy and all of those things. And there are certain Reformed folks, the ecclesiastical text folks, the Textus Receptus folks, and they're not identical, but they use a lot of the same argumentation. I just love to take shots my direction. Just love to lob a few little bombs my way. And so, before the program on Tuesday, Paul Barth had put something on his Facebook page about how I and Craig had the same presuppositions and hence don't have an inerrant text. And then Presbyterian Memes on Twitter did the same thing. Now, I assumed that Presbyterian Memes was Paul Barth, and it is. But I wasn't absolutely certain of that at the time. And so I called Mr. Barth out on Twitter. Okay, if you're going to extend inerrancy past the originals, past the autographs, then could you tell us what is the inerrant, perfect manuscript of the New Testament? Is there one manuscript? And one guy mentioned Family 35. Said, well, Pickering said it was... So that's what you're... Have you started the translation of Family 35 yet? Because that's not what the basis of the King James is, the New King James, or anything like that. I'd be interested in if that's an ongoing project to provide the inerrant... to provide an English translation of the inerrant manuscripts. How are you going to decide between when there's any variation amongst those manuscripts? Is there just one manuscript in Family 35? Or is it a group of manuscripts? But we all know there's going to be differences between them. They may be minor, but there will be differences, and we need to have the right one if you're going to assert this. And of course, this goes back to the ecclesiastical text stuff, and the church has spoken, the church has done this, and the church has done that. I don't remember any church council saying Family 35. I didn't know that Pickering was a church council, the Council of Pickering. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought it was the author. It's the Council of Pickering that met in Pickering sometime in the past 30, 40 years over fried chicken. But anyway, so the result of this was some going back and forth. Okay, look, show me this inerrant text. Well, you need to define inerrancy. You're the one that brought it up. If you're going to claim to have it, quit playing games. This is so childish. This is important stuff. And, well, you need to chill out. Okay. So yesterday, I've got something going on, and my appointment's just a few